So let's start with emptying the sediment canister. The sediment canister needs to be emptied every 1,500 cuts. And a reminder, the system will tell you when you have 500 cuts available on that sediment canister before the cleaning needs to take place. It'll give you a 500 cut countdown. Once you get to that 1,500 cuts, the system is going to disable itself, so you can't continue until this maintenance is done. So let's do that maintenance right now. You're going to need, for this job, your servicing tube, your filter bowl wrench, your maintenance tray Allen key, some dielectric grease, and a replacement O-ring. So let's get to it. First, we're gonna hook up our servicing tube. Big one on the big one, small one on the small one. So hold this into the bucket while you empty the water. To empty the water, come to the maintenance tab on the touchscreen display and hit empty sediment tank. Water's gonna start flowing, and we'll wait for the pumps to automatically shut off. Again, on empty sediment canister and on top off, the pumps will automatically shut off to prevent any overfilling or over emptying. Once the water stops and the tank is empty, it's going to prompt you, are you emptying the sediment tank? We're going to say, yes, we are. Then we'll exit, and we're going to power the system down and unplug it. The reason why we're unplugging the system is because we're going to rotate these out, so if the plug's in the way, you're not going to be able to perform the maintenance. Move the water bucket to the side. Then we'll take our maintenance tray, Allen key, and our filter bowl wrench. On the side here is a small Allen key for our maintenance tray. Brake torque on that. Rotate these out and tighten it back down. That'll keep these in place. Next, take our filter bowl wrench and brake torque. Then we'll just want to run this out, guiding it as it comes. And there we have our sediment tank off. Now what you're seeing here is a very dirty sock. That's not a big deal. This is going to collect a bunch of debris. That's his whole job. Inside this is our level sensor, and it has 2 floats. So this sock is there to prevent debris from getting into the level sensor and causing it to malfunction. You also have your pickup tube here. None of these things should ever really be played with. They're fine the way they are. They look a little bit dirty, but that's okay. Empty out your canister in accordance with your local hazmat procedures. Inside it is just some fine granular pieces of metal that are sitting on the bottom. After you empty it, you want to make sure your O-ring is in good working order, make sure it's not nicked or cut or frayed. If it is, dispose of it, and we'll take our new one out and get ready to install. To install, we'll take our dielectric grease, put a nice bead around the inside of our filter bowl on this little recess here, and apply a liberal amount to the actual O-ring itself. That's going to help obviously lubricate it, but also keep it into place. You put it down into the recess, make sure it's sat down nicely, and we're good to go to install. To install, simply turn this back up. Take care to run it in nicely. And then snug it down. There's no need to put a large amount of torque on this. It's an O-ring, it'll seal itself off. After you have it installed, we're gonna brake torque on the Allen key again, bring the trays down to its full vertical position, lock that back down. Now, we're good to plug it back in. Again, a slip fit plug, push it on, and turn the system on. The fans will boot up, you'll hear those. The screen, again, in 15 or so seconds will boot up. and then we're gonna run the top-off procedure. Following the top-off procedure, we'll need to do a bleed and fill of the system. So you're gonna purge all the water out again, suck it back in, or do that again 3 or 4 times until we're sure that there's no air in the system. Obviously, when you take off a major component like this, you're introducing a lot of air into the system. We wanna make sure we get all that cleared out. So now that our screen's on, we come in and we hit maintenance again. And then we're gonna run system top off. So push that button, and again, when we hit it, we're gonna wanna witness that air bubble moving into the system. And we know we have good vacuum. If you don't see any air move into the system, it's a pretty clear indication that you may have pinched this O-ring inside here. So take that off, inspect the O-ring, make sure it's in its proper seating, run it back up, do the process again. Okay, so now that our tank's full, we're gonna let the hose sit in there for a couple seconds to make sure we're getting that really nice full volume of water inside the system. Then we're gonna hit empty sediment canister and let it purge itself. Again, we're looking in the pressure side of the tube to make sure there's no cloudiness, to see if there's any air in the system. After that first fill, now's a really good time to check our vacuum on the system, make sure we're hitting the numbers we should be hitting. So to do that, we're gonna need our vacuum gauge. Remove the vacuum portion of the servicing tube by pushing in and pulling out. Up here it says, are we emptying the sediment canister? We're gonna say no, because we just emptied it and we cleaned it and we said yes a second ago. Install our vacuum tube into the vacuum port, run system top off, and witness our vacuum gauge rise to 10 inches of mercury within a minute. Then after it gets to 10 inches of mercury, we're gonna push the top off button again to stop the pump, and the needle should stay right where it stopped. If it doesn't, you've got a system leak. Again, check that O-ring you just changed. So we're at 10 inches of mercury, hit top off, it stops the pump from working. Our gauge stays right there, we've got a nice strong vacuum. Remove the gauge, set it aside, plug our tubes back in, run top off, and fill it up with water. Once the pump stops, we ensure the system is full. We can verify that we did in fact reset that counter by coming up to the touchscreen display, hitting info, and seeing on sediment tank, it reads 0. So we told the machine, we cleaned out that sediment tank, and we got 1,500 cuts before we need to do it again. Now's a good time to check our pressure in the system, make sure that we're reading our good pressure, which is 80 PSI. So now we got our pressure gauge. Again, PSI, black small tube. To put this one on, I'm gonna disconnect our vacuum and pressure, install it into the pressure side. Then we're gonna run empty sediment tank and watch that needle jump up to 80 PSI, or a little bit above. Between 80 and 90 is perfect edral pressure. Since we're there, it's a nice constant stream. Turn the pump off, we're gonna say no, and then just release the pressure. And that is how you empty a sediment tank on your edral. Again, every 1,500 cuts, the system will stop you and prompt you to do that maintenance. Very simple to do, and continue on.